Today I'm starting to work on a stool that I need for around the shop. It's going to have a carved seat like a Windsor chair, so unlike your average stool, it's going to be very comfortable to sit in for long periods of time. I'm going to be building the seat out of two sections. The base is going to be just two pieces of regular construction grade lumber, and to that I'm going to be laminating a thin face, which is actually the area that I'm going to be carving away, and that'll give me the full 2-inch thickness that I need for the seat blank. And the only reason I'm doing that is because it's the materials that I have around, so I don't need to go out and purchase anything. This stool is pretty much just going to be an experiment on Windsor chair making, so I don't want to spend a lot of money on something that may just be turning into firewood. This is my old woodworking bench that I built years ago. It served me well, but I'm getting a little tired of it. So that's another project that's coming up here in the near future. I need to redesign and build a bench that suits the space and the work that I'm doing now. As you can see, it's a very narrow bench, and I have it on wheels, and it was made to roll into a very specific storage spot in my shop. And because of that, I didn't have the room to mount a vise on the front face of the bench. So anytime I need to do any edge planing on a board, I have to jerry-rig this Jorgensen clamp into a face vise. Here I'm getting ready to create the joint that I need to glue the two pieces of 2x10 construction lumber that I'm going to be using for the base of the seat. I've already taken the time to plane a little bit on the top surface of each board to determine which way the grain is running, and I've marked that grain direction on the face. So now I'm working on the edge joint, and when I go to glue these two pieces together, the only thing that I need to worry about is to make sure that the arrows are pointing in the same direction. And I'm going to be doing the same thing with the pieces of wood that I need to glue to this base to build up the thickness of the seat blank. So when I'm done, I'm going to have a 2-inch block that has the grain going in the same direction right through the whole thing. So even though it's built up of separate pieces, it's going to carve like one piece of wood. The first thing that I do when I'm creating a glue joint is to plane the existing edge perfectly flat. I'm not concerned at this point whether that edge is square to the front face. All I'm looking to do is to create a very smooth, flat surface that I can work from. So here I'm just carefully planing that face down until I get one continuous shaving that's the full width of the board. You'll notice that I'm pulling the shavings out of the throat of the plane after each pass, and that's because when I'm edge joining, I'm spending a lot of time concentrating on how the shaving is coming off the wood. If I'm using the plane to work one side of the board or the other, then I make sure that the shaving is coming off of that side, and for the final passes I want to make sure that I get one nice, clean, wide shaving that's the full width of the edge that I'm planing. Now that I have the face flattened out, I can start checking it for squareness. On this board, the edge on my left is low, so I need to start systematically taking away wood from the other side to level out this face. So I'm going to position my plane all the way over on the right, so it's only taking wood off of that high side. The sole of the plane is riding flat on the edge of the board. I'm not trying to angle it to sort of estimate how much I need to remove. I'm taking away only the outside edge, so that outside edge is going to drop down because I'm not removing wood anywhere else. Next I'm going to do the same thing, only I'm going to move the plane slightly to the left and take a little bit wider shaving. Again, I'm staring at the shaving to make sure the plane is cutting exactly where I want it to. So at this point, the size of the shaving that I'm taking away is about half the width of the edge, and it's starting right on the far right hand side. Before I go any further, I'm going to get the square and check to see how the face that I'm planing is lining up with the front face of the board. I'm getting closer, but I still need to remove a little bit more material to get that high edge square to the front face. So I'm going to repeat the process. I'm going to move the plane all the way over to the right hand edge of the board and start planing a very thin shaving off of that corner, and then I'm going to gradually work my way back down the slope. Now that I've corrected that angle and I have a face that's square to the front edge of the board, I just need to continue planing that face down until I get shavings that are the full width of the board. Now I have an edge that's ready to be glued up. The C-clamp that I'm removing here was used to clamp the back edge of the board to the bench while I was doing the planing. While I'm waiting for the glue to dry, I'm going to set this aside and start working on the template that I'm going to need to cut out the shape of the seat. I'm going to be making the template for the seat out of a thin piece of plywood. I just have it painted white so the lines will show up better. To make the template for the seat, I'm going to be using the pattern that Michael Dunbar has laid out in his book on how to make a Windsor chair. I'm going to be using the pattern for the Sackback Windsor, which is the chair on the right that you see on the cover. So I'm basically just going to be building this chair from the seat down. I'm not going to have any kind of armrest or backrest. This is the drawing that he has for the seat on page 133. It's 1/4 scale, so every inch on the drawing actually represents 4 inches. There aren't any guidelines on this drawing to help you figure out what radiuses you need to develop these curves, so I basically just traced this pattern out of the book and then spent about 20 minutes playing around with the compass to figure out which arcs I needed to use to develop this shape. So over the next few minutes I'm basically going to be converting this rough sketch into a template that I can use to cut out the seat. Here I have a square drawn onto the board that represents the overall dimensions of the chair seat, and I've also included the center line of the chair. The reference line that I'm laying out now defines the bottom edge of that heavy rim that wraps around the back side of the chair seat. It's the area where all the spindles are inserted into the seat that support the arms and the backrest. Even though I'm not going to be using any spindles in this design, I'm going to keep that heavy rim detail as part of the seat because it provides a great deal of strength. So from this line, the top half of the drawing is actually the back of the seat where you're sitting and your legs are hanging off of the bottom edge of this drawing. So what I found to be the easiest way to draw out this shape was to use the compass to lay out the major curves of this chair seat and then freehand all of the transitions between those major curves. By using this method, I can very easily position the 5 arcs that are used to draw out the major components of this chair seat by laying them out on the 2 layout lines that I have drawn through the center of this chair seat. Once all of those elements are in place, it's very easy to just sketch in the transitions that you need to make all of those arcs into a smooth shape. The top of the pattern is drawn using 4 arcs that have the same radius. They're just drawn from 2 different center points. And that results in this slightly flattened out circle. And the bottom edge of the pattern, which is the front of the seat, is just drawn with 1 long arc. This arc sits just outside the range of my compass, so I'm just using my hand to gauge it as closely as I can. These are just guidelines. There's nothing critical about any of these measurements. I'm sure if you examined a number of chairs, you would see variations in all of them. Now that I have the major guidelines for the seat laid out, I'm just going to start sketching in all the transitional curves that I need to connect all of these arcs into a smooth line. So here's the finished template, and instead of a drawing, I'm just going to quickly go over the dimensions that I used to set this up. The overall template is 20.5 inches wide by 16 inches deep at its widest points. The vertical line on the template is the center line, and on that center line I have one of the pivot points that I use to draw the 2 side arcs. You can see that I have 2 different marks laid out here. The top one is from the drawing, and as I was drawing out the template, I decided that I wanted to move that pivot point down slightly. So I'm going to be using the lower pivot point, which is 8¼ inches down from the top edge of the template. I have another reference line sitting 90 degrees from the center line, and that line is sitting exactly 10¼ inches down from the top of the template. So in order to get the shape that I want for the top half of the template, I'm going to be drawing 2 arcs from the horizontal reference line and 2 arcs from the vertical center line. And they all have a 10¼ inch radius. The two pivot points that I have located on the horizontal reference line are sitting exactly 9 inches in from the outside edges of the template. And they are used to scribe the top 2 arcs of the template, one on each side of the center line. The pivot point on the vertical center line is used to scribe the 2 outside edges of the template. At the top of the template, I have a mark sitting on the vertical line that's exactly 2.5 inches down from the top of the template. This mark is going to be used later on to locate the inside edge of that thick band that wraps around the outside edge of the chair, but it's also going to be the pivot point that I'm going to use to scribe the lower half of this template. And that's just one big arc that goes from one side of the chair to the other. And again, to finish off the template, you take all these disjointed curves and blend them into one smooth line. Hi, I'm Dennis, and thanks for watching. If you have any questions, you can contact me by using the email address that I have shown here. If you like the channel and the work that I'm doing, please consider becoming a patron. Every dollar you contribute will bring me one step closer to being able to produce videos full-time.